Genesis 42. Jasmine, we'll let Moyo go second so she gets a minute to freestyle.
So for this one, I have test number one. So yeah, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Test. Okay. Okay. I see. I think I see where you're going.
Mhm.
I think I see where you're going. All right.
Go ahead, you go.
All right. I put famine imposed meeting.
Okay, valid.
I want to say Bruno so bad.
Oh no!
Yeah, did y'all even watch
I
Encanto?
did watch Encanto.
You did?
I did. Yes.
Okay, so does it make sense?
Yes, it
Okay,
makes
okay.
sense.
Okay.
It definitely makes sense. But
Yeah.
yes.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say Bruno.
Bruno.
That's my word.
Boom. Bruno.
Bruno.
Why you say Bruno?
And you gotta watch Encanto to get it fully.
Right.
But the real reason I'm saying it is because when they were whispering, it's like they didn't really want to. I mean, they were also talking in a different language. They thought.
Right.
So it's like it's like the thing that keeps coming up for them, but they're trying not to like face it full on.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's that secret, the family secret.
That
We
just-
can't bring it out.
That hangs around.
Yeah.
Yep. I put famine imposed meeting just because the famine is what brought this about. This meeting doesn't happen without the famine.
Sure.
And it made me think of one of the things. I think I put a post under one of our reels or something saying, maybe I shouldn't have said, I think I even stated it stronger than that. Like I should not have said that God caused the famine. Then I went back and I read, in 41, the interpretation. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, let me tell you all the things that God is about to do, that the Lord is about to do.
Mm.
So it's like, maybe the Lord, when I read that, and then he goes in and talks expressly about the 7 years of plenty and then the famine. Like, hey, maybe that was caused by the Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
And I would say that natural disasters and things like that, would we not say they're caused by God? If he's controlling, like, the seas, the skies, like all of these things are in his hands. And a lot of times in the Bible, like the flood, God caused the flood, right?
The flood, yeah.
What is the Sodom and Gomorrah, like he
Yeah.
caused these things because he was trying to accomplish something. So it's the same to me. I don't think of it as he's sinning, because I think that's why we're trying to say, oh, it wasn't God, but it is. He's not committing a sin. He's just God. He does what he wants to do. Yeah, to fulfill whatever his big picture is.
Yeah. That's how I saw it.
Yeah. It's just when you start to talk like that, there's always that trilemma, right? If God is all good and God is all knowing, right? And God is all loving, then why do these things happen? Mm-hmm. And some of it, I think, is just as we're talking about, that there's agency that people have, right? Let me take a step back. People are going to behave and do things out of their own agency.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, looking at this story, the brothers selling Joseph into slavery. I believe that's of their own agency.
Yeah.
Right? Potiphar's wife lying on Joseph and trying to get Joseph to be with her. That's on her own agency. It's hard to do that with natural disasters, right? So there's no personal agency involved. But also, when you start to talk that way, you have to also realize the comeback of the trilemma that I just mentioned. If God is all good and God is all loving and God is all powerful, why do these things happen? And so that's what I wrestle with when I think of natural disasters.
Yeah.
I know natural disasters are really here because of sin. Because when you go back and you read chapter 3 of Genesis and what God says about basically the repercussions, and he tells Adam, you'll have to work and this land, I'm paraphrasing here, that would just give you good food to eat. Now you'll have to dig and work for your food and go through tears and weeds and all of that stuff. And then there's also, in I can't remember which chapter in Romans, but it talks about the whole universe groaning in travail, wanting to be restored to the way it was before man had plunged it into the state that it's in. So it's like understanding that man has something to do with some of the things that happen in this earth, in this world, from, I even think it's weather related, right? Earthquakes, these things that are just like natural disasters that just deal and harm thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also agree with you, and that's what I had to come to the realization of, is that there are also these cases where, just as you said, the flood happens because, the Lord said, I think it says something to the effect of my spirit shall not strive with man, or something of that nature. So he's got to bring the flood. But then he has some redemption because he brings 8 people through the flood. Sodom and Gomorrah, because that was a judgment thing as well, because it was just their wickedness had become so great that I think, from what I've read, it sort of started to impact and infect people around there. So God was going to deal with that because there was a great outcry against them. And so there's just that balance that I think needs to be made. And that's something that I continue to work through. Right? Because, God doesn't sin. I would never put that on him.
I think I'm at a place where I don't, I'm not going to argue with somebody about why something has happened, or is it God or is it not God? Mm-hmm. Just because I always come to the conclusion that God does whatever he wants. And that's just what it is. Most of the things that the way for me to just get past it is to say, God is sovereign. He can do whatever he wants. Period. I don't want to
get into
dig and start trying to figure out, well, what this and this and this. And if a person did this, it'd be bad. But if God did this, then why is it good then? That type of debate is not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah.
So I get the questions, but I also...
Yeah, you're able to sort of move.
Yeah, I'm just when I get to heaven, I ask if we have the mind to even be able to understand it then.
Right.
Because we still may be, I don't know what kind of minds we'll have or how much understanding we'll gain.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd rather just get myself to heaven and y'all figure the rest out yourselves.
Yeah. So that's why I was going back and forth in that. It's either in 41 or in 42 where I stated that. But it's just a constant thing for me.
Yeah.
All right.
42 was all your latchkey. You introduced.
Did I do that one?
Mm-hmm.
So when was I X-Men, in 41?
You were. I think it was 40. Yeah, 41. 41. Okay. You were X-Men for one episode. Yeah. Well, 2 technically.
Yeah.
2-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you were the latchkey, and that's when you started doing those cool transitions in the videos.
Oh,
with the little hook at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
on this episode,
Chris.
Hey,
changing things up.
I'm trying. Wait till you see what we got in store next year.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to the same thing.
Was there anything else in this? Because we aren't digging into the chapters. We're just going through our words. Right. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think the 42 did make me question. I think we did talk about whether it was God or Joseph acting. Because it seemed like I put in here he was sad but cynical. So he was sad because of his brothers, because he wept in private before, as they were whispering, whatever. I think we did talk about he was crying maybe because they remembered him. He's like, oh, my brothers, they remembered me, but also he is accusing them of being spies. So I wasn't really understanding the test. It seemed to be the opposite in my mind of what God would have wanted, something that's not God ordained. I grappled with myself for a while. And I think we talked about it, whether we can say that certain things are God's doing, if God is working through him in this sense, or if it is just Joseph being
human.
Yeah. And who wouldn't? Me. I would have probably been a little worse than Joseph was. But, and I can understand, his plight, but if for all this time, it started to confuse me because up until now, I felt like his big thing was to be obedient to God and do what is Christ like. This didn't seem Christ like to me though.
Yeah.
So I just was a little disappointed. I think I said that in the episode. Like, I'm very disappointed in you, Joseph, because it didn't seem like his character, from what I understood. Now, also a big thing too. We saw a little bit of the character of Reuben.
Yep.
Just a little bit. So he was shut down miserably when he offered up for Jacob to kill his sons. Crazy and unstable, as we see, But it was all in like the hope for them to come back, bringing Benjamin back to Joseph, which is what he wanted. And like we'll see his desperate efforts to keep him with Joseph. Like I think it's in the next one during the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But it just was an interesting chapter. I was just really confused and kind of disappointed seeing that it just didn't seem like he was being his normal self, operating as God would have had him operate. And I really thought, like, God doesn't sin, as we've already said. So if he's sinning, it's not God, that's him. But God's been working through him this whole time. So, like, at what point did it switch? Like, was it when he saw his brothers? Was it this entire chapter? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we saw from Judah and Tamar that God can work through anybody.
Yeah.
To get what he wants done. So even if Joseph was acting a bit out of character, which I tend to agree with, because he knew they weren't spies, but he was calling them that. At least, if I remember correct, I'm not sure if Moyo, I don't remember if you thought they were spies or not, if he thought they were spies or not.
I think I said it's possible that they could have been, like his accusation could have been accurate.
Right.
Yeah. Not that they were, but that it's a valid, because of the people around. Because of the people around, he has to make something that's like, put them in jail. Like everybody around you that's watching has to be like, we believe you. Yeah. The show has to seem real.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean that could be it, but
and he's
Joseph. He's second in command. He could have said, "Hey, put them off to the side because I need to talk to them before they get grain."
Yeah.
But why?
But instead, he decides to.
Why not? He can do what he wants to do. He's second in command. Pharaoh is not going to tell him why.
It's not Pharaoh. It's the people around. The people around. You'll note, like even with the story with Potiphar's wife and Joseph, she sent the people away because if they witness it, it's going to be like, what is happening here? Like, what are you doing? So it's always whatever show you're putting on as we're seeing, it has to be acceptable in the eyes of the people that are around, because some people are going to question it. If he's like, hey, these people, put them over there. For what? Now you still got to come up with something.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I feel like it's not just, you can't just do things because you're in a position, which is what everybody should understand. I feel like Joseph understood that. So he was, and we see later that he's got reasons for doing the things that he's doing. Okay. And Reuben, it wasn't just the kids, right? Take my grandchildren. It wasn't just that, but do you remember the "I told you so" that Reuben gave him? Yes. I told you not to kill him or something.
I told you.
I told you that his blood would be speaking to us from forever.
Yeah.
So Reuben, we get a little more insight into him.
Well, then maybe he should have been doing his part.
And then this is one where you were just talking about, where we finally see Joseph's distress when he was put in the pit. Mm-hmm. We finally see that he wasn't just down there like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in a pit now. He was like, no, let me out of here.
Which is so good to know.
I
was like, you just letting this stuff, you just sitting back and just letting this stuff happen and not saying anything. But I was like, okay, he's calling out for help. This is kind of like a human side of him coming in, like being shown here.
Yep.